also joined on the broadcast by two guests, Dr. Sanjeev Rai, who's an educationist, and Dr. Pretti Ojah, who's the principal of Delhi International School. Thank you so much for making time out and taking part in this particular discussion here on Mirror Now. Dr. Sanjeev Rai, to you first. In fact, let me first start with Dr. Pretti Ojah. Dr. Ojah, you are a principal of a school, and you must be getting, first-hand feedback from parents as well as students on how they are dealing with this pandemic. In fact, most of us have, now kind of relented to the fact that the pandemic is going to be a way of life. But education has become a major, one of the major sectors which have been hit because of this. What are some of the concerns that the parents and students are voicing to you? Are they getting used to this hybrid format of education?
Parents are under anxiety, and schools are playing a very vital role by making and encouraging them to make sure that children come face to face in the classroom also to revise and to clear their doubts. But I can see that the parents and the children are feeling very comfortable with online mode, and they feel that until there is a vaccine or there is some kind of a protection for their child, especially when they are out of the home, then only they would be more confident to send their children. Likewise, yesterday when we had informed all the parents to get the vaccination done, the 80% parents had shown interest, and they have asked their children and themselves to go to the places where the vaccination can be done. So definitely the parents want the children to come to school. Children also are excited to come to school. That particular factor is very prominently seen. But the only thing that they want is, what in case something happens to the child and we are not able to recover him from that particular problem or so that is one of the queries that the senior children parents have. And I think now we have the answer with this vaccination. At least prevention is better than cure. So we would be having our children vaccinated. And I'm sure soon in the month of January mid, the schools for 10th and 12th will come back for their board exams preparation. That is what I'm talking at the moment for.
That's right, and which is why, I mean, the fact that the vaccination drive for children has started. This is, of course, the 15 to 17 age group which is getting vaccinated at the moment. Let me go across to Dr. Sanjeev Rai now. Dr. Rai, this is, of course, as we heard from Dr. Pretti Ojah, who's a principal. She's, of course, getting first-hand feedback. But if we look at the larger, the scope of this entire issue, as we said, whether it's school students or college students, their training and education has been severely impacted, and this is a very critical, especially the senior years is a very critical in terms of these are the people we are looking at finally joining the workforce. But they are being hugely limited because of this pandemic. What exactly do you think should be the top focus for the government right now in order to ensure that this does not become a real issue going forward? Because, whether it's in terms of merit or standards being compromised as to how children are being made to pass or given pass certificates basis the kind of education they are receiving amid the pandemic.
Okay. Thank you, Tanima. As you rightly said, that what government should be doing. Actually, if you consider the diversity of the country, broadly we are having three kinds of institutions. One, they have the digital infrastructure to run the online classes for the students. So some way those students are continuing their classes. The second, they are the developing digital infrastructure. So some institutions, higher education and school education institutions, also have the some kind of digital services, and they are trying hybrid mode, as government of Kerala also did. But the third and the largest segment of school education, especially and the colleges situated in the rural India, they don't have the digital infrastructure, nor the students have the affordability of to buy the gadgets and the internet packs. So they are really vulnerable and multiply vulnerable. So one, they are not continuing with the online education. The second, they are digitally divided. The third, their well-being and their nutrition are also compromised because millions of the children come to school for them and get midday meal as well. So we cannot have like one strategy for all the students of this country. We need contextual strategies to deal with the specific challenges of the students. Like for instance, if you talk about the children with the special needs, so children with the special needs, and within children with the special needs, you need several some specific intervention for the visually challenged children. Some specific intervention would be needed with mentally retarded children. So this is a disruption, and the not only India, the world is struggling with that. But if we come up with the specific strategies for every context, and then we can support the students and teachers both, because teachers are also struggling, so they also need psychosocial support along with the students.
Right, as you said, I mean, it is a overall picture that we're looking at, students as well as the teaching staff, the kind of, way that they have to carry about with this very important task, of course, of teaching students as well amid the pandemic. Going back to Dr. Pretti Ojah, Dr. Ojha, what are some of the, if you could share with our viewers, what are some of the ways that the teachers have also, and the teaching staff have also, in a way, improvised their strategy in terms of teaching? Because, whether it's the hybrid mode, whether it's completely online mode, it's not easy. Obviously, it is not as satisfying and is not as fulfilling as in terms of actually teaching to an open classroom of students in front of you. But what are some of the strategies that you would want to share with teachers, and also, probably tell the parents that these are some of the ways that they can also engage or help in, ensuring that the students get the kind of education that they need?
Thank you so much for this question, because this was asked about 1.5 years back to me. The answer was different. And today, when I talk to you on the same question, I can see there's a lot of empathy now among the parent and the teachers for the child as one of the most important thing to take care. Now there is less of blame and more of constructive coexistence for learning and teaching online mode. So when I see now teachers going online, it is something unsaid, but they are mostly first wanting to know, is everything fine? Is the technology helping them? Are they able to cope up with the kind of softwares the teachers are using to teach them? They take a feedback from the parents frequently. It is a very general norm all over schools in Delhi, which I know, who are taking feedbacks every after a class also. And sometimes there is more to do with the children that Sir just now mentioned, the inclusive education children, where there is a need of care calls. And there have been parents who have been traveling to school with their child and making sure that those important components or content delivery to the child with the limitation that the child is going through can be covered up. And teachers have made sure that they have visited school during that time, making sure to make comfortable learning for the child. So reducing the anxiety and the fear factor among the parent has been a crucial role play of the teacher. They have been making sure that the child is not running with the content. They're taking intervals to make sure that the child is able to cope up with what is being taught. Because during the first year, to be very frank, it was more to do with content delivery, complete the course. The question paper would be of the similar kind, and various other things coming up. But now the strategization of assessment also from the CBSE has changed to an extent where we can see that the teaching learning has also impacted them. Because when you get to know that MCQ is there and the course is 50% in the first term, and various other aspects, especially for the senior classes I'm talking about, because here there is a lot of rigidity of the course that one has to complete. That has been very flexible. Teachers have been able to use softwares which are easily accessible by any child with any gadget. That has helped a lot. Downloading of heavy worksheets have been reduced so that the memory that the child has in their gadget can easily take care of the sheets that they're receiving. Google Drive is being used more, where children can share documents online and editing can take place. Workload of after teaching has been made in such a beautiful manner for the children that even parents are not getting hassled, and they know that the child independently can do some task which is being given to the child after the online class. Intervals in between the online class has also given a breather to the children who are not able to cope up with a very long time duration online classes. So mostly now what has happened is that the parent community and the teacher community together have made, according to their school community which they are taking care of, adjusted with how they need to teach, what time they need to teach, what is the timetable that is going to be used, whether it's going to be totally online or some part is going to be given to the child to do on their own, while also taking care of various curricular activities online, which is a breather to most of the children and parents and teachers, where they come together by celebrating days, doing sports, various other things which helps them to engage their mind not only academically but on various other aspects. So definitely there has been a huge impact on teaching style of the teacher, and also taking care of their progress in a very different strategy. That is how I can see the change.
That's right. Dr. Pretti Ojah there. Thank you so much. Dr. Sanjeev Rai, my last question on the discussion to you. What exactly do you think needs to be the focus in terms of, if we look at the education system as a whole? This is a way of life now. It's not going to change. Whether it is schools or colleges, the hybrid format or the online format is the way to go forward. As you said, there are teething issues, especially with regard to internet penetration in rural areas, whether there's equal access that all sections of society have. Those are some of the teething issues, of course, but if you could just list out the top two things that the government needs to focus on, and even from the education system sides, from the institutions that should focus on, what would those two be?
Okay, thank you. Yes, we cannot ignore the technology, but at the same time, we need to debate more on the technology from the pedagogical side. I don't think the much discussion has happened other than the speed of internet and accessibility to those gadgets. No, if you are using online mode, then you also need instructional design. And I don't think the teachers in a big number have been oriented on developing the instructional design in line with the online education, number one. The second is we have several inequalities in the education system. So my request would be that government should come up with an inclusive IT strategy where a big number of students, especially the marginalized students, should not feel the heat of the digital divide and digital gender divide, because thousands of schools have been closed permanently during this pandemic time. So where are those students? We need a mapping of those students who are not in school. There are children who migrated with their parents from urban to rural places. So where are they? Are they in school? Are they learning in a formal way or not? So first thing is coming up with the inclusive IT strategy, so no one should feel the digital divide, victim of digital divide. The second is mapping of all the students who are out of school. The third, the equipping teachers with technology and other necessary skills to go along with the hybrid model. Because if you see the data of 2021 digital report, the internet penetration is still 60%. I'm talking about the global scenario. So if you compare with the European developed countries, with some Asian countries, there are digital gaps. Then within country, if you compare one state, yeah, one city with another city like Bangalore with Azamgarh, then you will find the internet penetration gap. So we need to map those areas, and government should come up with the digital infrastructure and support the marginalized students timely, so they should not go out of the orbit of the education system.